My name is Pauline Peter. I was born May 13, 1932. I'm originally from Kaikuk. My mother died when she was only 48. She died of heart attack. Different people told me that my biological dad was murdered at Bishop Mountain. It sounded like somebody chopped him in the head. And it sounded like, the way people talked about it while I was growing up, that he was buried alive, because it looked like he moved around in his casket. I had no parents. That's why I was an orphan. My other siblings were older and they were able to take care of themselves. I remember when I was so small, I remember we stayed in winter camp with Sydney Annington. This is the very first thing I remember clearly. I used to carry water in 4-pound lard cans from the creek. I put my water down to rest and my socks pulled out of a hole through my moccasin. And there was a lady standing up there. She told me, "Anne, come." She took my moccasin off and she made the hole bigger. I cried then, and I didn't know that you have to make the hole bigger and moose skin to patch it. And she said, "Kula, so poor, Next thing I remember, I was staying with Jenny Pilot, and there was a boy bigger than me. I sat on the wood for him and he chopped it up. Then I carried it in and he would make sugar candy, this boy. And he wouldn't give me any. And one time I told him, "No, not hatakenek. No, not hatakenek means I'm going to tell on you." But he said, "Not you. Talking at He told me, "I'll put you in a water hole and shove you in there." And I was thinking, I'll just hide under the ice, and after he go away, I'll come out. I didn't know I was going to drown. Next thing I remember, I was staying with my foster mother. Her name was Olga Angela Brown, and her husband was John Brown from Nulato. I was only 6 years old when they adopted me. My foster mother must have been in her 70s, and my foster dad must have been in his close to 80s. More or less, I took care of them. Anyway, so I had to do all the work. I had to carry water, I had to cut wood, and do all the laundry on the washboard, and make sure that we cook for the dogs, and we had to feed the dogs, because that's our transportation. When I was 12 years old, my foster dad died. Well, he probably died of old age. So I had to be the boy. 1st of June, we moved to fish camp and get it all ready, pitch up tents, pitch up the fish racks, and put in the wheel. When the box started getting full, we'll go out there 6 o'clock in the morning, take all the fish out, cut all that fish. By that time, the box is almost full again. Sometimes 4 days in a row, we have to cut fish, almost 24 hours. Then we need a break. Sundays, we have to paddle to church, go to the village to go to church. Then we pull the boat with the rope on the beach, call it 8 out to get back to the camp. Then we wait for silver fish, sun-dry fish we call it. Most of the fish we put in the smokehouse for eating. The other one for the dogs on the fish rack on the beach. We live out camp all the time. And you know, my mother didn't know how to read or write. She's the one that taught me. She'd take all the milk, baking powder, salt and pepper, and this flour sack, sugar sack. I make tablet. And on there I write S-A-L-T. I don't know what I'm writing. My mother said, this word must be salt. This must be baking powder. So I write baking powder. This must be flour. So I write flour. It was like that for one whole winter, and when I went to school, I felt like I died and I went to heaven when I learned my alphabet. We had Catholic mission school in Nulato, and it only went up to 8th grade. We have to pray for 15 minutes, then we do our learning. Then when we're leaving, we have to pray again, get on our knees and pray again. But I'm glad it was that way because that's our faith. But I turned 16 and I'm out of school. There's other kids waiting. I was lucky to make it to 4th grade, but I more or less educated myself because I was determined to work. When we're out camp, no TV, but we had the radio, and there's tender topics at 9:30. My foster mother said, "Dohodne," and I never liked to tell her if somebody died. She always cried. She just felt bad. She said, that person that died have family. They must be hurting, and she cried. So I don't want her to cry, so I never tell her what's going on, and she tell me what they said in the radio. I said, oh, they didn't say anything. And she cried, and I said, you don't have to cry for everybody. I thank God for the way I was raised. My foster mother used to say, don't ever drink. You say bad things, you do wrong things. There's no reason to drink. It's not going to do anything good for you. She said, you don't mess around with a boy. If you get pregnant, then you're going to be on your own, and your baby, how are you going to feed your baby? You got no job. She said, you never ever say anything bad about anybody. Always talk with respect to people. That way, in return, people will respect you. Skoka, she said, my child, she said. So I needs and nakahult on. Odiko nakaatla means I didn't go through labor. Said on all time, you were given to me, so you're in here. That's why you're precious to me. That's what she used to tell me. My mother picked a husband for me. He was in the service for 4 years. And then after he came back, she thought that was a good man for me. I was only 17, he was already 30, 35. I don't even know how to have a boyfriend. We got married August 27th. Went downriver all the way to Anoka River. That's I don't know how many 100 miles. That was my honeymoon, I guess. And we stayed over there for the winter. And I learned to care for him, you know. I felt like I died and went to heaven because I didn't have to work. I didn't have to do anything. I had a boy when I was 18. I had a girl when I was 20. That year, I went up in the hospital. I had hemorrhage really bad. I was dizzy. I did laundry all day and I felt really tired. I didn't know why I was tired. The Alice Hildebrand, she ran out and got that ice and she put that ice on my chest. That's what stopped the bleeding. That she saved my life. My husband and her husband were raised together, so we were really close. I heard somebody praying. I hear, just like I'm way down, I hear somebody praying. Here was the priest praying over me. My nephew Harold, my nephew Tony, they were crying, and my mom was crying too. My mom was really crying hard. I heard them crying, and I try to go like this, but I can't. And you know, I couldn't even feed myself. I couldn't even go potty. I couldn't do anything, and my husband took care of me. He just treated, he even used to feed me, spoon feed me. I never forgot how good he treated me. I was finally able to travel, so they sent me to Tanana Hospital. I didn't know I had TB. For 1 year, I was strictly a bed patient while I was there in Tanana Hospital. 2 weeks before they sent me to Mount Edgecombe, they finally allowed me to go to the bathroom, but I had to have help because I couldn't walk. I was in Tanana Hospital for 1 year, and then from there they sent me to Mount Edgecombe, almost 2 years with tuberculosis. But every chance I get, I read. I read all the true love stories, true experience. And it was always about nurses and doctors, you know. And it made me want to be nurse more. I was interested in being a nurse because I used to see how the nurses, how they know what kind of shot to give to the sick people. I was interested in that. My oldest boy was 2 years old, and when I came back, he was 4. He said, "Mom, I have a pretty mom, and she's in the hospital." And I got picture, he told me, and he showed me my own picture. I said, "Oh, how pretty. Where is she?" "She's still in the hospital. My daddy says she's going to get better and come back." And that's my picture. When I came back, I wanted to be health aide so bad. I volunteered for 12 years, for 56 to 68. This teacher, I told her I want to take my GED test. I'm trying to get a job. I want to be town nurse. You see, I had this paper like this. "I got your GED diploma." She gave it to me, and I hug her and I tell her, "This means a lot to me because I'm trying to be a health aide of the village." I was going home and my daughter was standing on the front of our building. We had a frame house downtown. Caroline, I got my GOD diploma. I got my GOD diploma." I didn't know I was saying GOD. She went in ahead of me and she said, "Dad, Mom got her GOD diploma, whatever that is." He looked at me and said, "Next she's going to try to be the president." My last daughter was born in '68, and that's the year I started training. I was the first lady that had a job to earn money in Nulato. My very first check was $85, and you know, I was excited. I thought, well, them days, that was a lot of money. Health aide is a tough job. It is a tough job. I was on, like I said, 24/7. I had people with a heart attack and stuff like that. We did mouth to mouth. We did anything we can to keep the patient alive. The only one time I really thought I needed help was 2 guys had snow machine accident and they're hurt really bad. And here there's electrical pole, and this guy was sitting in the back and this man was driving. They hit that pole so hard, this man hit the first man and his chest just caved in. And this other guy in the back, his femur was sticking out through his ski pants. They were on the snow when I got there. I always had clean blankets because of that in case. So I grabbed one sleeping bag and one blanket. I told them, just pull this sleeping bag under one. So they did that. First thing I did was I filled up 2 hot water bottles and I put one on one man's arm and the other guy. So I started the IV on this one. That's the worst patience I had. And this boy that had this bone sticking out, up to today, every time he see me, he always thank me. Thank me so much, he tell me. And then after they start sending medevac planes equipped with everything, it was much easier. Mm-hmm. How many times I had to go to Fairbanks with patients, too late to get a room, so I used to sleep in that imitation room. That's where I used to sleep, sitting down with my sack like this on the chair, because I didn't have a place. I always had pack sack, few dollars in there for a cab fare or something, you know, and change of clothes. I always had that ready. When you are a health aide, everybody you work with becomes your family. You love everybody. That's why I am the way I am, you know. I took care of so many people. I feel like the whole village is my family. My husband was an alcoholic. I used to beg him, don't drink too much. They can't seem to hear you when you talk with them too. And I don't want you to die, I want you to be with me. And that's exactly what happened. He got ulcers. Then it turned into cancer. I used to even chew the rice and macaroni and put it in his mouth. At the end, he told me, don't do that to me no more, I can't swallow it. And when he was dying, I wanted to pay him back. I never forgot how good he treated me. Alcohol did a lot of bad things to my family. My first boy was in the service, and he liked to drink, and he got killed due to alcohol. And my second boy, he was going up to the liquor store, and he went through the ice in the fall time. And my son, he committed suicide. I think he couldn't take it. Well, he was an alcoholic too. And one of my daughters, my second to the youngest daughter, froze to death in Fairbanks due to alcohol. I lost a grandson. He drank whiskey, I think, and he died. And you know, right there and then I felt like the whole roof fell on me. I went to bed one night and I was thinking, dear Lord, what is going to happen to my daughters and all my grandkids? They need me. I don't want to lose any more family member. I already went through too much. Madna Saint Mead kun usa aha. Tanaha ta yayit lidas no usa tirul o hulet noy o aha kon qok ayayit qadahula. God san haganetana mama lagatana tlanel kut. God sa hotatsan. God san kadotnan la. Amen. I often wonder what it would be like if I had my real mother and my real dad. Sura is my brother. He came to visit me from Kaikuk. He wanted to tell me something that's very important. Our mother and him were staying with our grandpa and grandma in camp. She didn't want him to trap muskrats alone. She'd go with him, even though here she was pregnant with me. And they were crossing one lake and she fell in the water. She fell through the ice. So she finally got a hold of a place and she told him, "You go home and go to grandpa and grandma and tell them Mama drowned it." And he said, "No, I'll try to get you out." She told him, "Get on your tummy and hold that rope." And he pulled our mom on the ice. And he brought her home. And then he said, she started crying and hollering. She was in pain, and he don't know why she's in pain. Grandpa said, "Give me a cup of water." And he brought it to our mother, and she drank it. And he talked in native. Them days they used to have healing power because there was no doctors, no nurses. And Mom went to sleep, he said, and he went to sleep too. When he woke up, he heard a baby crying. His grandma told him, "You have a little baby sister." That was me. I gave him a hug and I tell him, "Thank you very, very much. I'll carry that story with me till I die." We're all curious about how we came about. This is beautiful. I really like this. This is beautiful.